Hi, this is the first video in a series where I'm going to talk about Graves' disease, eye thyroid disease. I've been diagnosed with this pretty recently, so like 2 to 3 weeks ago. My symptoms started somewhere a few months ago. Basically, it was my right eye, which slowly started to like become more bulgy. I noticed it at first in photos. I didn't really consciously think about it. So as time progressed, I think it got more visible and I actually started to think about it, started to do some research till I got a doctor's appointment. It was, yeah, maybe 4 to 5 months since my symptoms started. That's as well what I've noticed from the photos. And at the doctor's, I got a blood test which basically confirmed the diagnosis. My TCH was really, really low. The value was 0.012. My free T4 was really high, somewhere over 30, I think 32. And the antibodies were through the roof, so over 1000. So immediately the diagnosis came as hyperthyroidism, gray Basedow disease, and obviously the thyroid eye disease. When it comes to other symptoms, there are many listed, which I haven't really experienced, I would say. So, not enough that I notice something is wrong. So, one of them is rapid weight loss. So I'm coming from a pregnancy. It's my son is now 2 years old, and after the pregnancy, obviously I've lost a lot of weight. But it came off really slow, so it took almost these 2 years to almost go back to the weight I had before the pregnancy. So it's like lost 15 kilos in 2 years with going to the gym and paying attention to what I eat. So I wouldn't necessarily attribute it to the disease. Another symptom which a lot of people experience is sweats, which I had a bit during pregnancy and after, and I thought they are related to maybe breastfeeding and the whole pregnancy. Still happens if I have a sip of alcohol right now, which wasn't happening before, but regularly I don't sweat a lot. Then there's the high blood pressure, which I had like 6 months ago. I went to a regular checkup, and they sent me to an advanced heart control. So I wear a monitor for 24 hours and did a whole sonogram on the heart and on the veins. And the conclusion of that was I'm healthy, everything's fine. During this time, no doctor asked to see like a thyroid blood check. My last thyroid blood check was in 2021, so basically more than 2 years ago when I was pregnant. After that, yeah, first year with the baby was like I didn't go to the doctor. I had zero minus 1000 time. And this was basically the first time I did a blood check. Historically speaking, I did have a doctor in 2015, like 9 years ago, saying that at one point in my life I might get Hashimoto's disease, which is the opposite, hypothyroidism. Just because he saw on a blood check that my antibodies for the thyroid were a bit increased. So I think they were slightly over 30 when the limit is 30. Um, but and we did like an ultrasound, but everything was fine then. So there's like a bit of increased vascular activity on the thyroid, but nothing which led to treatment or additional investigations. And since then I did regular blood checks, which were fine. So other symptoms include like bone and muscular problems, which I thankfully didn't have. I'm going regularly to the gym and everything seemed to be fine. I mean, maybe my resistance is lower than others, but that was mm, not something I've experienced my whole life. Um, there's a higher risk factor for women, and especially for coming out of pregnancy. So I did research on that online and spoke to some women, and I saw there's a higher prevalence among women who were pregnant, who just gave birth recently. For me, it was 1.5 years when my symptoms began, so could be that. The genetic factor doesn't really apply to me. So in my family, there have been zero thyroid issues. At least we don't know of any. I mean, my parents do get regular checkups, so nothing there to ring an alarm. High stress. So I've read there's a lot of stressful moments triggering Graves' disease, and I've experienced one. So, in November of 2022, sorry, so it's like more than 1 year ago, I was let go from a job I really loved, and where I worked for more than 8 years, and it was really unexpected. So, let's say that really put a lot of pressure on me with a small baby. So my son was 8 months at the time, so there was a lot of financial and psychological pressure, which continues to the day, because unfortunately I still haven't been able to secure a job, and it's been more than 1 year of interviewing. So rejection, getting rejected, searching, financial pressure, that's, let's say, um, quite stressful. So that makes sense to be tied. So together with the pregnancy, I'd say makes sense to be tied together as a trigger for setting off the disease. In terms of initial treatment, I received the carbimazole as a dose of 30 milligrams to take 3 times a day, like 10, 10, 10. And I've been doing a bit of research on what natural alternatives there are. So I'm taking as well bungleweed, and which is called lycopus in Latin. So that's the original plant. It's a plant family actually, which should be really good for hyperthyroid. And there's also, I'm taking some selenium for my eye. I went yesterday to the eye doctor, and basically they said maybe some drops. So I'm doing drops 3 times a day plus a gel at night. um, but they weren't able to really tell me more, so they sent me to another specialist where I'll be going soon. So they don't know if this is the active or inactive phase of the disease, if I should be trying out some steroids or not to reduce the inflammation. None of these doctors have been able to say until now if the eye will be going back to normal or not, and if I like going back to normal naturally, or if I will need surgery, which is pretty distressful, let's say. I mean, I would assume that, you know, somebody is able to tell you more on that. I did start to take the selenium, so 100 micrograms of selenium every day. I've read that really helps with thyroid eye disease. Not more, because yeah, too much selenium can also do some damage. Um, I mean, the response of the eye doctor was, yeah, take it. Nothing bad can happen to you. They weren't really up to date with that, but they also said that they're not their expertise doesn't lie on in Graves' Basedow or Thyroid Eye Disease, so I should see another clinic on that. Additionally, I'm taking some milk thistle to protect my liver, because with all these pills, I think my poor liver is, yeah, working extra hours. And I'll be going next week to do my first, to the doctor to do my first blood check after all these medicine. So it's gonna be more than 3 weeks since I'm taking the treatment, and see how the values are, and hopefully they went down a bit. um I feel less anxious than usual. So let's say, I mean, I'm an anxious person, and I've always struggled with a bit of anxiety while flying, or in tunnels, or in small spaces. And now we were on holiday, and I was way less anxious when we had our flight. So also physically, I felt it less. I was like, usually I'd be sweating at my lower back. So maybe it's the pills acting. I don't know. I'll find out. I was happy to feel more relaxed. I mean, I think especially with this diagnosis, it's important to reduce stress. So if it's taking effect, I'm happy to hear it. Anyway, that's what how my journey with Graves' disease and hyperthyroid disease started. And looking to hear more of your stories and experiences. I'll be sharing how my treatment goes, what other research I found. There's a lot of content, thankfully, out there. Somehow the treatment hasn't been updated in more than, yeah, at least 50 years. So I think there's a lot to still discover. Um, and I'm happy to share whatever I find. Happy to exchange with anybody who's going through the same. Yeah, not a great not a great start for 2024, but um yeah, let's hope for the best. And I'm happy to be able to have some time to actually deal with this. So let's say blessing in disguise, not being employed right now, and being able to dedicate myself to a healthy living style, watching out for my diet, cooking at home, reducing the salt intake. I'll be sharing more about that in future videos. So stay healthy and have a good day.